everyone, my name is Mary, and this is my very first booktube video, so I'm brand new to booktube. But I am not new to talking about books. I actually work as a school librarian, so I spend my days talking with middle school students about books I think they would enjoy. So don't worry, you're in good hands today because I am a professional. The book I want to tell you guys about today is called Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, and it tells the story of Tally Youngblood. It is set in the future at a time when whenever you turn 16, you get plastic surgery to become pretty. Tally is 15 years old and she cannot wait until she turns 16 and gets to have this surgery for herself to become pretty, especially because her friends are all a little bit older than she is, so they've already had the surgery and gone to live in New Pretty Town, while she's stuck living in the ugly dorms with all the younger kids. She's expecting to have a lonely 3 months until her birthday, until she meets a new friend named Shay. Shay, however, isn't as sure as Tally about becoming pretty. She's not sure it's something that she really wants to do. When she finally decides she would rather run away than become pretty and look like everybody else, Tally is caught in between Shay's act of rebellion and a society that does not take kindly to people who act differently or think differently. Eventually, Tally is offered an impossible choice. Either betray her friend Shay and give her up, or lose her own chance of becoming pretty forever. Uglies is one of my favorite kinds of science fiction books. First of all, it's set in the future with really cool technology, everything from toothbrush pills to sunscreen patches to these hoverboards that sound amazing. But ultimately, at heart, it is a dystopian novel. It comments on things about our society, but taken to an extreme level. And what I think Uglies is really about is about the choice between conforming and being sort of what society expects you to be and being like everyone else versus being an individual and taking your own path and being who you want to be. I think it's really interesting that the choice that they're given or presenting that Shay and Tally have to take between getting the surgery done or running away is not an easy choice to make. You know, there are things about becoming pretty that sound really cool. You get to look however you want, you get to live in New Pretty Town, which is basically a giant party all the time with your friends, and there's this cool technology that you get to play with all the time too. But Shay makes some pretty good convincing arguments about the benefits of being an individual and of being yourself and really not just being like everyone else, and how what makes you different isn't a bad thing, it's what makes you unique and special. So I like that it's not an easy choice, that when Tally has to decide, it's not clear which one is ultimately the absolute best answer. You know, it's hard to know what I would choose if I were in her position. I also like the way it comments on our society and on issues facing our society today. One of the things that I think is interesting is the way that in current society we have so many images given to us of what it means to be pretty. But those images really aren't that realistic. You know, the people in these advertisements that are models, they're people who have been selected for this job because they already look like what our society thinks of as pretty. So first of all, they have this natural ability to look this way. Then they have a whole team of people that style them, you know, that pick their clothes, that do their makeup, do their hair. Then they sit for a photo shoot where they take a ton of pictures and they pick out the one that's the very best one that makes them look the prettiest. And then that's even edited further in Photoshop or something like that to make them as much like this ideal, pretty image as possible. And when you think about that, that's not that different than what happens to people in Uglies when they have the surgery done. You know, the surgery in Uglies is just taking that one step further. I also think it's interesting the way that this book thinks about appearance. And about the way that our society thinks about appearance. You know, there have been academic studies done about our society that show that people's first impressions are very hard to shake, and they're largely based on physical appearance. The way you look heavily influences what people think about who you are and how you act and what you're like. And one of the things that Society Uglies is trying to do with this surgery is to get rid of that sort of problem of first impression, of appearance being so influential. If everyone has surgery, then they all look not exactly the same, but very similar. They have similar features and similar levels of beauty, and they think of that as being a great equalizer. So I thought that was an interesting idea to play with in this book. If you're interested in issues like this about how people look and beauty and conforming to societal expectations and things like that, then I think you would really love reading Uglies. And if you're interested in reading more about sort of our own society and commentary about that, I'll leave some of my favorite articles and videos in the description that talk about body image and the media and appearance and things like that. Thanks so much for watching.